Blair Whitmore sat waiting, heart steady but fragile. It was her first date in 2 years, and for once, she let herself believe she deserved to be seen again. She checked her phone, 5 minutes late, then 10. When he finally arrived, she smiled and raised a hand. The moment his eyes fell on her wheelchair, everything changed. His face hardened. "Are you Blair?" "Yes," she answered softly. "It's nice to meet you." He didn't sit. His words came cold, sharp enough to slice through the air. "I thought you could walk." "This is a lie." Blair's breath caught. Conversations around them stopped. She managed, "I never lied. It's in my profile." He laughed bitterly, dropped a $10 bill on the table, and walked out, like she was a mistake he needed to erase. For a long moment, Blair stayed still. Her fingers trembled, but she forced them to calm. She wouldn't cry here. Not again. She sat taller, swallowed the ache, and whispered to herself, almost a promise. "I'm not broken." And though her voice shook, the strength in it was undeniable. Blair's thoughts were still tangled in that cruel goodbye when a small voice pierced the silence. "Daddy, why is that lady sad?" Blair looked up, startled. A man stood a few steps away, steady, composed, and beside him, a little girl clutching a stuffed toy, her eyes wide with kindness instead of pity. Owen Callahan leaned slightly toward Blair. His voice was warm, unforced. "Do you mind some company? Rosie's pretty good at cheering people up." Blair hesitated, then nodded. "Sure. I'd like that." Rosie climbed into the chair across from her, legs swinging freely. She opened a tiny pack of stickers and said, "These are my sparkle stars. You look like someone who needs one." She pressed a bright pink star gently onto Blair's hand. "Now we match." Blair smiled, a real, fragile smile that felt like sunlight finding a crack through clouds. "Thank you," she whispered. Owen watched the moment quietly, his tone soft but certain. "You don't deserve what he did." Blair met his eyes and saw something she hadn't in a long time, understanding without pity, compassion without rescue. And for the first time that day, the shame in her chest loosened just a little. Blair found herself speaking without effort, words flowing like they'd simply been waiting for someone safe enough to catch them. Owen didn't interrupt or fill the space with sympathy, he just listened, steady, present, patient. Rosie played beside them, lining sugar packets like tiny dominoes, humming softly as if joy were something she carried everywhere. Blair smiled, watching her. "She's a light," she said quietly. Owen's voice softened. "She is. Keeps me grounded." Blair hesitated. "Her mom?" Rosie answered before he could. "Mommy's in heaven," she said matter-of-factly, then added with a small smile, "but Daddy says kind people make her smile from the clouds." The word struck Blair in a place she didn't know was still tender. She pressed her palm over the little pink star Rosie had placed on her hand, her voice barely a whisper. "That's beautiful." Owen's gaze lingered on her, not in pity but in quiet recognition. For the first time in years, Blair felt seen, not for her chair, not for her strength, but simply for who she was. 3 lives collided in a café, one broken, one healing, one pure. None of them knew how much that small kindness would rewrite everything. Owen leaned forward slightly, his tone gentle but certain. "Would you like to take a walk? Rosie likes the bubble station." Blair hesitated for a heartbeat, then nodded. "I'd like that." They moved together in quiet rhythm, Rosie skipping ahead, giggling as bubbles drifted through the air. For the first time that day, Blair's laughter returned, light and unguarded. Owen walked beside her, not hovering, not helping, just there. After a moment, her voice softened. "It wasn't always like this," she said. 3 years ago, I was training for nationals, gymnastics. One slip on the beam, and suddenly, nothing from the waist down." Owen didn't rush to comfort her. He stayed silent, letting the weight of her words settle where they needed to. Blair's gaze lowered for a moment. People called me brave, strong, inspiring. But they didn't see what came after, the surgeries, the days I couldn't even sit up, the nights I wished I'd just stayed asleep. Owen finally spoke, his voice low, grounded. But you did get out of bed. She met his eyes, a faint tremor in her breath. Eventually, she said, a small smile forming. Because I realized I wasn't broken, just rewired. Owen's expression softened, a quiet reverence in his voice. That's not survival, Blair. That's strength. And for the first time, she believed it. Rosie ran toward them, holding a tiny wand dripping with soap and wonder. A single bubble drifted away, wobbling in the air until it landed softly in Blair's lap. It shimmered for a second before bursting, leaving behind a trace of light and laughter. Blair's laugh followed, clear, unrestrained, the kind she hadn't heard from herself in years. For once, it didn't sound forced or careful. It was simply hers. Owen smiled, watching her closely. You make it easy to believe, he said quietly. Blair turned toward him, a little startled by the sincerity in his voice. There was no hint of pity, no quiet apology for her pain, just truth, spoken plainly. Something in her shifted. She didn't feel like someone who needed to be fixed or saved. She felt understood. Seen. And as Rosie twirled nearby, laughing at bubbles that refused to stay still, Blair realized that maybe healing didn't come from strength alone. Sometimes, it began with being seen exactly as you are, and not having anyone look away. Days turned into a gentle rhythm. The café, once a place of humiliation, became something softer, a quiet ritual stitched into their lives. Café at 4 o'clock, Owen's texts would read. Rosie insists the hot chocolate here is magic. Blair always said yes. This time, Rosie was with her grandmother, leaving the table to just the two of them. The silence between them was easy, comfortable in a way that didn't need to be filled. Owen worked through a few slides on his iPad while Blair sipped her tea, watching him with quiet amusement. Her gaze drifted to the screen, and then froze. The title read Harbor Light Recovery Center, Phase 2 Implementation. The name hit like a whisper from another lifetime. Her voice came softly. That's where I spent nearly a year. Owen looked up, surprised. Really? She nodded slowly. That new aquatic therapy wing, they added it near the end of my stay. It changed everything for me. Owen set the iPad down, realization dawning. That was one of our projects. My team pushed to fund it. Blair blinked, processing his words. You helped build that? He nodded. We believed in it. Even when others didn't. The air shifted, quiet, full, almost reverent. Blair looked at him, her voice barely above a whisper. You believed in something that gave me my life back. Owen's eyes softened, something unspoken moving between them. What began as chance revealed fate, the man who unknowingly funded the place that helped her rise now sat across from her, falling quietly into something he couldn't yet name. Owen shifts slightly, voice low but steady. My company invested in that center. Blair freezes for a heartbeat, eyes widening. I never thought I'd meet the man behind the check, she says softly, almost in disbelief. He smiles, gentle, a little shy. And I never thought I'd share a cookie with someone whose life I helped rebuild. They laugh, a quiet, warm sound. But beneath it, something unspoken lingers, a thread, fragile yet undeniable, weaving destiny through coincidence. Over coffee, Owen leans forward, voice soft. You and Rosie, you might come by the house. The backyard used to be my mom's garden. Blair hesitates, eyes flicking down. Does your place have stairs? 3 steps, he admits, quietly. She offers a faint, polite smile. Then. I can't. That night, her smile lingers in his mind, haunting him, gentle, impossible, unforgettable. By dawn, a wooden ramp waits before Owen's porch. Blair stops, stunned, eyes wide. "Morning," he says simply. "It's not much, but you shouldn't have to go around or be carried. You deserve to come through the front door." Tears gather in her eyes. She rolls forward, into sunlight and into belonging. The ramp wasn't just wood, it was a promise. A doorway to something neither of them could name, yet both already felt. The backyard blooms around them, alive with memory and morning light. Rosie lifts a purple pansy, placing it gently in Blair's lap. "This flower, it needs you. Like we do." Blair's voice cracks, tender and raw. "You're something else, Rosie." For the first time, she feels it, not that she's been given a second chance, but that she is one. Months later, Blair's art exhibition opens, rewritten. "It lets me move, in a different way," she says, voice soft, confident. Owen watches, quiet, letting her shine, unaware that tonight will test them both. Nearby, two guests whisper. "Men like that, always need a little redemption project." Blair overhears. Her expression hardens, folding in on itself, closing like a door. On the terrace, Blair's voice is quiet, fragile. "I just need to know. I'm not someone's second chance." Owen's silence lands heavier than any words. In the days that follow, she withdraws. Messages fade. Calls go unanswered. At home, Rosie draws a picture, Blair in her wheelchair, Owen and Rosie beside her, a heart between them. "Please, come back. The story that healed her is breaking him, and the little girl who saw no limits might be the only one who can bring them home." Blair packs her studio, preparing to leave Portland for a new gallery. "It's easier this way," she whispers to herself, steadying her heart. But that morning, on the doorstep, she finds a wooden box, her name engraved across the lid. Inside, her illustrated children's books sit, printed and real, waiting for her. Blair opens Owen's note. "You didn't just inspire me, Blair. You inspired a world I didn't know I needed. Please don't leave it." Tears blur the ink. In that moment, she realizes she wasn't running from love, she was running from the fear of being seen too clearly. That night, she calls him. Her voice trembles but steady. "You didn't fix me, Owen. You made me feel whole." Silence hangs. Then his quiet confession. "I miss you. I miss you too. Just tell me there's still a place for us, somewhere in your story." "I think," she whispers, "the next page starts here." The next day, the gallery overflows with families and light. Through the window, Owen and Rosie watch Blair, radiant, alive, everything she was meant to be. "You didn't rescue me," she tells him softly. "You chose me." "Every single day," he answers. Rosie's voice cuts through the room. "Can we be a family now? Like in the books?" Applause fills the gallery. But just before the story closes, Blair looks toward the horizon, her hand still in his. And whispers. "Then let's see what the next chapter brings." End on cliff anchor, an open future, heavy with hope, suspended in light.